Hello. We're moving on through the Daniel. Now we're going to do Daniel 4 and 5. So in Daniel 4, where it's about Nebuchadnezzar being humbled some more. Okay? So in this, he has a dream, another dream, and wants to have it interpreted. And of course, nobody can interpret it but Daniel. Okay? And Daniel lets him know what the tree meant, and that it was about him, and about him being a beast in the field and eating of the grass and so forth. And the reason for this is because Nebuchadnezzar started getting very prideful and elevating himself and boasting with pride. And so let's look at verse 28. All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar at the end of the 12th month. He walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? While the words was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelleth be the beast of the fields, and they shall make thee to eat grass as an ox, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth to whosoever he will. The same hour was the king fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and he did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair were grown like an eagle's, and his nails like bird claws. Verse 34. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and my understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth reputed as nothing, and he doth according to his will in the army of heaven and the inhabitants of earth, and none can stay his hand or say unto him, What dost thou? Meaning, what are you doing? And the same time my reason returned with me, and for the glory of my kingdom mine honor and brightness returned unto me. And my counselors and my lords sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. Now, Nebuchadnezzar praised and exalted and honored the King of heaven, all whose works truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase. So this is telling us that, he was brought down low. He was humbled because he was boasting in pride as to who he was, and he was elevating himself. Let's move on to chapter 5, and I'm going to read a good bit in this, because here is another descendant of Nebuchadnezzar who is not acting right. And there is discussion among scholars as to whether this was Nebuchadnezzar's son or grandson. When you look up here where it's talking about father, it can also mean forefather. So there's debate among some scholars. It really doesn't matter, in the historical account of what God was doing. So I wouldn't let that be something that consumes you, okay? So let's go ahead and start with chapter 5, verse 1. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. So he brought people in to have a great feast to honor him and, look at me, I'm something wonderful. And, oh, isn't it grand? Verse 2, Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the gold and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. So these were holy vessels used in sacrifice and ceremony unto God. And he's taking them now so that way his drunken orgy feast with his rulers and their wives and their concubines, their whores, could have a whoring time using these vessels. Okay? And then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem. And the king and his princes and his wives and concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. So they took these and drank wine and honored and praised all these pagan gods with them. Verse 5, in the same hour came forth a finger of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him. Oh, he was scared. So that the joints of his loins were loosened, and his knees smote against one another. He was so scared that his knees were shaking and he was trembling with fear. The king cried aloud to bring in astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. The king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Why could he only be third ruler? Because there was one ruler above him that was still alive. Okay. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his words were a stone. But look at verse 10. The queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house. The queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom, in whom the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar thy father, and the king, I say, thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts, were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thou that Daniel, which art the children of the captive of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry, I have even heard of thee, and that the Spirit of God's in thee, and the light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee, that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubt. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, and a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy reward to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. So he's like, I don't need your rewards. I'll be happy to read it to you and tell you what it means. Let's see. I lost my place. Verse 18. O thou king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him, whom he slew, and whom he kept alive, and whom he set up, and whom he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the wild beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of the heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven. And they have brought the vessels of the house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives and thy concubines, have drunk wine in them. And thou hast praised the God of silver and gold and of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear not, nor know. And the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, thou hast not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And in this writing that was written, meaning, Tekel Upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing, meaning, God hath numbered the kingdom, and it is finished. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Peres, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. And Darius the Mede took the kingdom about 62 years. So Darius came in, who was a Mede, and he took over the kingdom. So this was saying that what he did was wrong, and that everything about him, he was found not worthy. Okay? So now we have Daniel 6, and I'm going to go ahead and read Daniel 6. I said I was going to do just 4 and 5, but I'm going to go ahead and do 6 too. So Daniel 6, a good way to remember what Daniel 6 is about is Daniel 6, the lion jaws fixed. Okay? So Daniel 6, it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and the princes. Why? Because he was faithful. He had great integrity. And he was preferred above them all, because of an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel. So they didn't like the idea that the king wanted to put him above everybody. So they wanted to do something to get rid of Daniel. Okay? So then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom. But they could find none occasion nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. So they couldn't find anything to accuse him of. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom and governors and princes, the counselors and the captains, have counseled together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the lion's den. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed, according to the laws of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. So they told Darius that all of us are in complete agreement. We want to only honor you for this period of time, and we won't seek out any other god but you. Was it true? No, it was not true. Now when Darius knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his window being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he, kneeling down upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed, and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask of any god or man, wherein 30 days, save thee, O king, shall be cast into the lion's den? The king answered and said, That is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not, which can't be changed. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of the captive of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the going down of the sun, to deliver him. So I'm going to pause right there, and we'll pick back up at 15. So here we have Darius is very vexed in spirit that he has this decree, and his poor, best wise men is going to have to go into the lion's den. Oh, he doesn't want that. And all day and into the evening, he's trying to think. How can I save Daniel? How can I keep him from having to go to the lion's den? And he's so upset about this. Then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. Then the king commanded that they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. The king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. Whoa, wait right there. Did you hear that? You got Darius saying that your God's going to deliver you. Cool. Verse 17, And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might be not changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. So he was up all night, concerned about Daniel, wanting Daniel to be safe. He couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep, nothing. Let's see what happens. Then the king arose very early in the morning. So he got out there very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. So he was like brokenhearted. Daniel! Okay. Voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said, Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continue able to deliver you from the lions? And you could just imagine he's like listening so hard. Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel and has shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. And the king commanded they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them and their children and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. So even before they hit the bottom of the den, the lions were jumping up and breaking their bodies to eat them. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom, men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he, the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in the heaven and in the earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. That is the end of chapter 6.